at you from the great state of Louisiana with our regular Tuesday episode with Coach Jonathan Pixley. Today we went a little bit off the beaten path. Wouldn't you agree? We've incorporated some other sports. We are talking not only basketball, but we're going to branch out and put our knowledge of baseball, football, and even a little pinch of hockey to the test in the hopes that more people on the Luca Nation Network watching this video will be entertained. So, Coach Pixley, welcome to the show. As always, every Tuesday. What's up? What's happened last week? What happened since the last video where I beat you on the Wilt debate?
Well, that's obviously not how that went down, even though I did agree that Wilt was a better player. I think I got my criminal off completely clean in that day. But nonetheless, well, just watching a lot of teams that we thought were going to be pretty good in the NBA not be good, and I'm close to having to acknowledge the Lauri Markkanen thing, but I got to give it a year.
He's got to prove it over 82 games. You know, we're 17% of the way into the season, so almost not quite 1/5, about 1/6 of the way through the season.
No, he doesn't have to prove it over 82 games. Nobody plays 82 games. If he plays 60 games, we're good. You know?
Yeah. I have a hunch right now. If I gave you $1,000 and you had to bet yes or no, do the Utah Jazz make the playoffs?
I'd still say no.
I still say no too. Are we pessimists by nature, or are we realists and we know talent wins?
Talent always wins, and
yeah.
Unless he's that dude, man. I just think
we'll see. I have a feeling people are going to figure him out. Nobody's going to take him for granted when they come to town, number one. Number two, I mean, if Markkanen's doing all the damage, they're going to start game planning for Markkanen, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to adjust to the stuff that they're going to throw at him. But we know the NBA is a long season, and some of the coaches actually know what they're doing. So I think they're going to figure it out, and maybe Markkanen's numbers will dip a little bit. But it has been funny since I called my shot on him. I did not call my shot on Ben Simmons. I did not call my shot on the Warriors winning 70 games. That's not turning out great. So, but anyway, you know, you miss every shot you don't take. You win some, you lose some. So,
that's off to a better start than he was even last year, even though he cooled off significantly.
He is. He's nuts right now. Yeah, he's definitely in the MVP conversation. And we even talked about it. Like, there's no way he could be in the MVP conversation. He's got too many good players around him. Well, all his teammates are sucking, and he's going bananas. And so that's how you get in the MVP conversation. And so now there's a narrative. He's bringing this sad-ass Warriors team to the playoffs, right?
Your Ben Simmons thing, though, was funny because today I was watching SportsCenter or something, and the question was, can Ben Simmons ever become an all-star again? And simultaneously, the people on the show laughed. I was like, that's –
yeah, like I'm laughing right now. I just wanted to play basketball. I thought this was the Ben Simmons revenge tour. No, fool me once, fool me 4 times, I'm fine, but you're not going to fool me a 5th time.
Nope.
All right, so today's topic we are talking about, it's quite simple. It is the most unbreakable records in sports, period. Simple. We didn't give any criteria. We didn't say career records. We didn't say single season, single game, single quarter, playoff record, anything. We wanted to throw a bunch of stuff onto this video and just kind of chat through it and talk about it and share with people and solicit from the people that are viewing and listening to this on pod or watching this on YouTube. What records did we leave out? What do you agree or don't agree with? What did we miss? But just looking back at some of the records in baseball, basketball, football, and I even threw some hockey in there all time and just like marveling at some of the stuff that these people did. You know, the crazy thing about this, Jonathan, is like a lot of the records, I had to throw out some really old like accomplishments, like from the 1800s in baseball. You had to just kind of ignore it. Like I always thought, and I don't mean to throw a spoiler out there, but I thought Ricky Henderson had the all-time most stolen bases in a season, but he doesn't.
Yeah. I know.
How about that? Like, did you know that? I mean, I assume 130 was the number.
Yeah.
But, you know, and we'll talk about it later. Some dude named Hugh Nickel stole 138 in 1887.
That is a lot, by the way.
Yeah. 138. Yeah. And did you know they only played 40 games that year? No, I'm just kidding.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to work our way through your list, 10 through 1. You're going to start. You got 2 honorable mention, and then I'm just going to throw out any records that I found astonishing that you did not mention. And so I'm basically just supplementing your list. But I want to know your list, 10 through 1, because that's kind of what we're going to do today.
So I mean, obviously, all these records take longevity into account, which is why because these people don't play that much anymore, right? And any of these sports. But I did take into account some of the old baseball stuff, which I really kind of wish I wouldn't have because it's so absurd. But I did it anyhow. And I did some numbers research, which I think it makes it even crazier. So I'll start. My 2 honorable mention were, and again. One of these records will never, ever, ever be broken, but I still found it 11th on the list, which was Wilt Chamberlain's career rebound number. Okay, he is currently 9,000 something ahead of Dwight Howard, who's the active leader, and Dwight Howard's 36 years old. So if he averaged 1,000 rebounds a game for the next 9 years, which puts him at 45, then he could catch Wilt. Okay, remember the last. He averaged 1,000, or he got 1,000 rebounds in a season. So, okay. And then my 12th one was Bill Russell winning 11 titles as an NBA player. So I guess that could be done at some point. I don't think it's happening, but nonetheless. So I'll go ahead and start. You didn't have any honorable mentions, right?
Man, I honestly just threw a bunch of records down, went sport by sport and put them down, and I didn't put them in any particular order, but we'll chat through them, and at the end of it, once you finish your list, we'll say, hey, do you think this one belongs in your list or not? And look, there's so many just preposterous records out there, especially some of the career stuff that we can make a list of 50. And so I'm sure there's some that you missed that I've got written down. I probably got 30 written down. So we'll go through them quick, on my end. But let's take some time on your list.
Okay. So my number 10 was Jerry Rice's all-time receiving yards record, 22,895. Just to put it in perspective, okay, Larry Fitzgerald was second with almost 5,500 less. And Larry Fitzgerald just stopped playing football. I think he just decided last week that he's not playing football anymore, right?
He keeps playing, right? He keeps saying, I'm retiring, and then he plays again. He's a GOAT too, by the way.
Number 10 was Jerry Rice's receiving yards record, 22,895. Larry Fitzgerald has just over 5,400 less, and he's in second place. Okay. That's 3.5, 4 seasons worth less than Jerry Rice had total. Julio Jones is the active leader with 13,455. He's in season number 11. 9,440 yard difference. Okay. If he averaged almost 1,050 yards over the next 9 seasons, he would catch Jerry Rice. That puts him in season number 20 and at age 41 if he did that.
Right. Okay. He's not playing quarterback either.
No. So I don't think it's happening. And Julio Jones is a freaking ridiculous athlete, but I don't think these guys are playing as long as Jerry Rice did. So that was my number 10.
Well, let me give you my thoughts on that, because I ran across that record, and honestly, Jonathan, I didn't write it down. Okay. I didn't think it met the criteria, and it's really only for 2 reasons. Number one, the game has changed so much to being pass heavy, and number 2, they added that 17th game.
Yeah, I thought about all that.
So it worries me. You say that, but then guys take more games off. They're not as it seems like they're not as durable. So maybe it cuts against it. But I don't know. I don't know. Let's see what Justin Jefferson does. He needs about 21 more seasons like this, and then he'll be right there.
Well, they've changed the rules, like in basketball, to where offense benefits from it. So I get that angle, and then, like you said. 17 games a year. You're right. That's why I have it number 10 on my list.
Yeah. You took it into consideration, and still, it's there. Look, I saw it, and I was like, and everything I looked at on the internet had that record in there, and I was like, man, I don't know. This game changed a lot. It's the same reason I didn't put Steph Curry's 3-point record in here. While there's no one playing right now that could break it. Yeah. Man, the way the game's changed, good Lord, man. Trae Young could play till he's, 41, and that dude shoots a lot.
I didn't have other guys. Yeah, I didn't have it either. And
I did a whole video on that record. And how far ahead he is of his peers and what Harden would have to do to catch him and any of the guys that were even remotely close. And, of course, I concluded no one playing today can catch Steph Curry. That's a fact.
Yes, for sure.
But, is it unbreakable? It just depends on how much the game changes, They may move the line back. They've done it before, haven't they? So
yeah, but look, you're right. It's probably never going to be broken. But the fact that it probably is put in front of it, as opposed to some of these other ones, you can't put it on there. All right, number 9 for me was John Stockton's all-time steals record.
He's on my list. Yeah.
3,265. Jason Kidd was second, 2,684. So that's Chris Paul actively is 795 steals away. He's third. He'd have to average, now get this, he'd have to average 159 per year for 5 years, okay? That would put him at season 22, age 42, or 2.3 for 70 games per year, which he doesn't play 70 games anymore. And the times that he's gotten 100, I think he's had over 150 steals like 2 or 3 times in his career.
Right. He needs to do it 5 years in a row. Here's what I have. Stockton won, and then I did the same thing. I did the CP3 comparison and how preposterous it is. He would need to lead the league in steals. He's 38 right now. Right. He'd need to lead the league in steals 5 straight years to catch Stockton. Right. And that's at age 38, 39, 40, 41, and 42 to catch Stockton. And most point guards don't play till they're 42, let alone lead the league in steals, right? So I'm sure you're going to get to the other record, so I'll bring it up when you get to the other record. But his steals record goes unnoticed. It is one of those NBA historical career records that's probably the least mentioned, but it's almost as untouchable as the other record that we're about to talk about. It's really that absurd.
I think it's not mentioned because of the other record, though.
Well, the other record you're right. Either way, it's overshadowed. Yeah, the shadow that's cast by the other insane record, the steals often get overlooked. But yeah, that's a good one for number 9. And I'm with you. I can't fathom anyone ever catching that record. I can't fathom anyone. And when you go back to it, that record is as much about him stealing the ball as it's almost more about the fact that the son of a bitch just played every game. And he did it for 2 decades. He just played every damn game. I mean, he never sat. And he never got injured. And he always played over and over. And him and Malone did the same thing. And that's how Malone got where he got on the scoring list.
That's right.
They were just so durable together. It was I don't think we'll ever see that again.
No, I'm 100% with that.
Yeah. Stockton 9. I like that one. Yeah. Okay. So Rice 10, Stockton 9.
Yep. Number 8, I'm going back to Jerry Rice for his all-time touchdown record. He has 208 touchdowns. Emmitt Smith was second with 175. Now, when I talk about the active leaders, I'm not talking about active by position. I'm talking about active leader, period. Okay.
Yeah. Not quarterback, skill position players. Yeah.
Right. Devontae Adams currently is the active leader with 80. Now, I don't know if he scored yesterday. Okay. I'm just saying, like, as of last week. That's 128 difference than what Jerry Rice has. He would need to average, now keep up with me here, he would need to average 13 touchdowns per year over the next 10 to break the record. That would put him in season 18, age 39. And keep this in mind. He has only scored 13 or more touchdowns twice in his first 8 seasons.
So he'd need to go on a run.
For 10 years.
Yeah. 13 receiving touchdowns for 10 consecutive years when he's only done it twice up until now. And he's at his prime. Yeah.
Whatever Bonds took in the second half of his career,
double it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was contemplating not putting that ahead of the receiving yards, but then when I saw the discrepancy between him and the active leader, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. All right, number 7. And here's old baseball.
Jonathan, does it seem odd to you that the Devontae Adams is the all-time, like he's the active touchdown leader, and it's only that many in a pass-happy era? Like, wouldn't you have thought somebody be in the 120s or something?
Yes and no. They never run the ball anymore, right? So, and the offenses are so diverse that so many.
Maybe they spread it around, right? I feel you're right. I feel like when we used to watch football in when I actually cared about football, in the 80s and 90s, you had 2 wideouts, and sometimes you'd have a third.
Maybe.
Now they go 5 wide. so 5 different dudes could catch a ball, and 2 tight ends, or a tight end and a running backs are catching the ball now. Back then, all the touchdowns were concentrated in those 2 wideouts and your tight end, pretty much, not so much the tight end.
Think about this too. Kellen Winslow, who was way ahead of his time, right, for the Chargers.
Yes.
Every team has a Kellen Winslow now. Everyone.
It seems like it. Doesn't it seem like it? A guy that started as a receiver, and then we're like, you know what? We're just going to feed him a lot, and he's going to gain 37 pounds, and you're just going to play tight end. So start blocking.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Number 7 on my list. Again, I'm going back old baseball here. Probably shouldn't have done this, but I'm going to do it anyhow. Cy Young's wins record. 511. This is. I mean, you have to laugh about this. Okay.
Yeah.
So Walter Johnson was second with 417. He played back in 1600 as well, probably. But Justin Verlander is your active leader with 244. Okay.
So I can divide. I know. Yeah, I can divide.
267 difference. Listen to this. The most wins Verlander has ever had in a season is 24 in 2011.
Yeah.
Okay. He'd have to do that for 11 straight seasons.
The things you can do with the math is silly. Here's one, and I left that record off because I was like, it's just too far back, and the dude pitched every other game. So how about just divide 511 by 25, and you get 2 decades of 25 straight win seasons. That's like, and then 11 more. That's just nuts, man. And his complete games, I looked at, I know was crazy too.
I got it on there. Yeah,
there's a reason the award's named after him, right? There's a reason people, But the funny thing is, it happened so long ago. I mean, there's probably young people today. They know it's called the Cy Young Award, but they probably don't know who Cy Young was because it happened so long ago that it was just out of sight, out of mind, which is kind of sad. But yeah, that's rag arm city, man. So much for arm care back then,
Well, dude, I mean, was he throwing a rag ball? I mean, was it softball back then where a guy can pitch every game? Seriously, was he throwing 60 miles an hour? I don't know. I don't know all that.
I don't care if he was. I mean, he was probably throwing 80. I mean, if he was throwing 8, I have no idea. I might sound like an idiot. Maybe he's throwing 90.
Hard.
Walter Johnson, yeah, the train. Didn't they call him the train or something? Yeah. So let's say they threw 85.
Yeah.
Well, I can't throw 85 every other day for 9 innings. I mean, who the hell can do that? What kind of freak was this guy, I mean, that's bananas. And by the way, if it was so easy to do, then why is nobody even freaking close?
Right. Exactly.
That's the other thing, right? Well, you said Walter Johnson was second, and he's like almost 90 behind or something.
Yeah, he's almost 100 behind. Yeah.
Almost 100 behind.
Speaking of freaks, number 6 on my list was Nolan Ryan, his strikeout record. Okay.
Ooh, okay. Because there's another Nolan Ryan record.
I know.
Okay.
I figured I was going to leave some of these up because I'm looking at, and I know we'll get to that whenever you get
there. Yeah.
So Nolan Ryan's strikeouts record, 5,714 for his career. Randy Johnson is second at 4,875. Okay. Again, Verlander is your active leader at 3,198. So that's over 2,500 difference. Justin Verlander would need to average 280 strikeouts per year for the next 9 years. Okay, hold on. That would put him in season 26 at age 47. He has hit the 280 mark or above twice in his career.
Yeah.
He'd have to do it for 9 straight years.
Same deal as Devontae Adams. Yeah.
Right. So I know you want to go ahead and touch on the one that you were going to touch on.
Oh, so you don't have his 7 no-hitters then?
I didn't because I look at this. What's the guy's name? Otsani or whatever his name is.
Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, Ohtani. Yeah. I feel like he could throw 7 no-hitters in a season while hitting 70 home runs. I don't know.
Okay, let's relax. Let's relax, Twitter. You've been reading too much and not watching enough. I do think the strikeouts is more untouchable than the no-hitters.
I do. It's a longevity thing. I think
it's a tie. I think it's a tie. Ain't nobody touching either one of those records, Jack. I mean, that's nuts.
I'm glad you brought it up. Is there an argument to be had for what's his name? Ohtani? Yeah. as the greatest player ever.
Well, I mean, not if he gets hit by a bus tomorrow. I mean, we got to let him do something. I mean, we can't just. It's like Bo Jackson. Is he the greatest football player ever? He's the greatest I've ever seen, but he didn't finish the deal.
Okay,
got to wait.
But these seasons that he's had, we would agree nobody's ever had.
No, of course not. I mean, people are like, well, Babe Ruth did it. Not at the same time.
No,
he did it. He pitched, and he was okay, but he wasn't Cy Young material.
No.
And he didn't pitch at the same time that he was hitting all these bombs, right?
He
did it a little bit.
1 year whenever he pitched. He led the league in home runs 1 year when he pitched, and he hit 11.
Yeah.
So let's
relax with that. Yeah. What Ohtani's doing, like, I mean, I don't, it depends on what you want to call the MVP award. I mean, is the MVP award truly the player who's the most valuable?
Right.
If it is, then even though Judge had this historic season, you've got to give that to Ohtani, do you not?
Oh,
I mean, has anyone ever? No one does this shit. He's going to get the MVP 11 years in a row. He should. I mean,
he should. I
mean, is he one of the 10 best hitters in the league?
For sure.
Is he one of the 10 best pitchers in the league?
Well,
then what the hell?
Right.
I mean, seriously. I mean, he could pop off at any given time and get MVP as just a hitter or Cy Young as just a pitcher. How the hell is he not the MVP? I mean, here's my question. How much do you pay a top flight pitcher? And then how much do you pay a franchise, 3 or 4 hole hitter who can, bat 275 and hit 40 homers and 125 RBIs? Guess what? He's both. So what are you going to pay this guy?
Well, how about this? Would the Yankees be better with him or with Aaron Judge? Right?
Obviously him. Yeah. I mean, that's my point. Like, they're going to have to redefine MVP or just call it best hitter or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. It's nuts to think about, and I guess people are kind of taking it for granted, and maybe it won't last forever. I mean, I guess at some point he'll transition to one or the other, but we need to appreciate it while it's lasting, because that's just, I don't know. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
And maybe it becomes more commonplace moving forward, but I've never seen anything like it. I don't know.
I've never seen it. Yeah.
All right, number 5 on my list was the John Stockton assist record. Okay. 15,806 to Jason Kidd's 12,091. Chris Paul, again, he's number 3. He would have to average 11.6 assists playing 82 games in each of the next 5 seasons, which puts him at season 22, age 42. That gives him 947 assists per year. He's never done it once.
He's got a really good assist per game, but you're right. Like, his durability is not that of Stockton. That goes back to what we were saying about Stockton and Malone. So I did some numbers with CP3 as well, because, and here's the one thing, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, is when you look at this career steals record and you look at the career assist record, Chris Paul's name keeps coming up. And I think because he hasn't won a title, we're taking for granted where he ranks historically amongst all-time point guards.
Probably.
He's pretty unique, and he's pretty special, and he's pretty underappreciated by, in recency bias. Obviously, he's looking a little bit older now. I mean, he had the one big bounce back year and brought the Suns back to prominence. But so my numbers are CP3's 38 right now.
Yep.
If he averaged 10 assists per game and played 75 games a year, which is a lot for any point guard, he would be age 44 when he ties Stockton. So he would need to pretty much lead the league in assists at age 40, 41, 42, 43, and 44 to tie Stockton. Yep. He's going to finish second, right? I mean, we're in agreement on that, barring some terrible Achilles or something like that.
Yeah, he'll do that. But when you say lead the league in assists, because it's based on per game, yes, he could do that for – honestly, he could probably do that too. Maybe I'm not going to say 3 more years, but let's just
right. But he can't. The 75 games is the problem.
Right.
Yeah. So, well, and again, we know that guards hit a wall really freaking fast in their older years. Ain't nobody playing point guard in their 40s getting 10 assists a game.
No.
Period. I don't care who you are. Right. That doesn't exist. That's never existed, and that never will, because I know how I felt the day after playing a pickup basketball game at age 40, and these guys are playing 82 a year, so that's not going to happen. I'm excited to hear 1 through 4, because Stockton's career assist record is one I can never shake. I did a complete video on his assist and steals record and just kind of focused on the crazy, stupid, silly math that you could do about people trying to catch him. And it's just mind blowing. Like, it's unbelievable how many games this guy played and how durable he was. That's everything.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Magic has the highest assists per game.
Yep.
Magic has it, not Stockton.
Yep.
But Stockton never stopped playing.
Yeah, but Stockton's assist per game average is phenomenal.
Oh, it's this.
Over that time. And the thing that, like, what those who don't get, and it drives me nuts, because I listen to former players all the time, and when you talk about, it's two guys in particular, Stockton and Nash, and those guys, now Stockton gets a lot more acclaim from older players than Nash does, right?
True.
But when you look at those guys, like, they're not considered Stockton is rarely called the greatest point guard ever, which I think we would all agree he's not. Magic is the greatest point guard ever. But the fact that he's got these records, it's almost like, oh, well, he just played for a long time. No, go look at his prime, probably 8-10 years where he was averaging 17 a game, 14.
Brother, I got it pulled up. I mean, he had years where he's 17 and 14 for freak's sake. I mean, what the hell is that?
But shooting 50 and 40 and, almost 90. I mean, like, it's crazy, man. I mean,
he led the NBA in effective field goal percentage one season as a little white accountant.
Yes.
How about this? Let's just read his games out because he played a bazillion seasons. You ready? 82, 82, 82, 82, 82, 78, 82, 82, 82, 82, 82, 82, 82, 64, 50, 82, 82, 82, 82. He played the last 328 straight games of his career at age 37, 38, 39, and 40, and he was an all-star at age 37.
Yep. The last year, the 97-98, where the Bulls beat him, right? He played 64 games. Then he played 50. Everybody thought, oh, he's done. He's hit that wall. He went 4 straight years after that playing 82 games.
328 straight freaking games. That is bananas.
Right.
No load management in his game at all.
No.
Look at all the bold, guys. The bold that you see on your screen is when he led the league in assists, and that is just yikes. That is serious.
7.4% in a year. 14.7, 13.8 assists, 57.4 from the field.
Yeah.
He wasn't – oh, my goodness. Anyhow, yeah. But I think that dude gets so incredibly underrated, like on all-time lists. Like, look, when they went to the Dream Team and Isaiah Thomas and Stockton and that whole argument and debate, man, if you go look at their career numbers, it's not that it's kind of what it's not close.
It's not close at all. I looked at Isaiah's career numbers. They're not even remotely close. Like, leave him out of the conversation as the greatest point guard ever. To leave that crap out. I know he's got the rings and all that, but, like, no way, man.
No, I agree.
No way.
All right, let me go ahead. I'm on number 4 now, right? So I've got Cy Young's innings pitched record. 7. This is crazy. 7,356.0. Okay. You remember good old Pud Galvin? Remember him?
I do. Yeah. I called him Tom.
Well, he was second with 6,003. To give you an idea here, Phil Niekro, who threw nothing but knuckleballs, right?
Dude, he looked like Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead by the time he retired. He was old. He was really old.
But he had almost 2,000 less innings pitched, for recency. The current leader, Zach Greinke, 3,247 innings pitched. That's over 4,100 difference, Zach Greinke, just to put it in perspective, would have to average 229 innings pitched per year for the next 18 seasons. That puts him at season 37, age 56. By the way, he's done that, 229 innings pitched in a year, once.
How about this? Phil Niekro, because I had to look this up, he pitched at age 48.
Yeah, he could.
I'm 48. You're 48. We are 48.
Knucklers.
And he threw knuckleballs until age 48. Holy crap. He led the league in walks at age 46. That's not a good stat to lead the league in. But he made an all-star team at age 45.
Why not? And he's still 2,000 innings pitched behind Cy Young.
That's what Phil Niekro's career looked like. You can't even see it on the screen because everything's so small. Look at that. That's hilarious. And look at his innings, Jonathan. He led the major leagues in innings 4 seasons, it looks like.
Yep.
Wow.
Crazy. This is nuts. All right, moving on to number 3. And oh, wait. You know what, man? I skipped one.
Did you?
No. I skipped an honorable mention. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Okay.
I'll go back to it in a minute.
Yeah.
Number 3 on my list, Cy Young's complete games.
Oh my gosh, you are all over Cy Young's nuts.
Told you, dude. But this is it. This is my last Cy Young thing. Okay.
Okay.
Cy Young threw 749 complete games.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
How about this? Phil Niekro started 716 total in his 48-year-old career.
Okay, listen to this. So Clayton Kershaw is, and I'm going with him, even though he's third active, just because he's a little younger. So I was like, let's see who's got a shot here. Okay.
Okay.
He's in his 15th year. He's 34 years old. Okay. There's 724 difference. He has 25 total in his career right now. Clayton Kershaw, who's won what 3-4 Cy Youngs. Okay.
Yeah.
724 difference. All right. Kershaw would have to average that. His career total right now of 25, he'd have to average that for the next 29 years.
Look at Cy Young's stat page on Baseball Reference. Half of the page is bold, which means he led the league in something.
You just glossed over that I said that Clayton Kershaw is going to have to play double the amount of years he's already played and average 25 complete games a year.
I don't get the vibe we're heading in the right direction for people to catch that Cy Young complete games record. I'm going down a rabbit hole here. Cy Young led the league in walks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 times. Walks per 9 innings.
Walks per 9 innings. That's not good.
No, that's not good. That means he was effectively wild. I did not know that.
So
just think, if he'd have conserved all those balls he was throwing and threw more strikes, he could have had way more complete games.
What was his total pitch count at the end of his career? That's what I want to know.
I don't know, but we need to find that somehow. We need to find that.
Did he throw 1 million pitches, you think?
I don't know how to count that. I don't know how to do that. What is ERA plus?
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on.
Okay.
You ready? Number 2 on my list is Cal Ripken's consecutive games played. Okay. 2,632.
I don't know how that's not number 1. I'll be quite honest with you.
I'm going to tell you why in a second.
Okay.
Joe Smith is the active leader. You know, Joe Smith, Big Joe Smith. I don't know.
There's a baseball player named Joe Smith.
Yep. He has 866. He's played 15 years, and he's 37, I think, currently. Here's what he would have to do. He would have to play 10.9 more seasons, never missing a game, which would put him in his 25th year at age 48. So he'd have to play basically 11 more years without missing a game.
To age 48. So let me pull up Ripken and ask this question. May sound like a dumb question. He's got a bunch of seasons in here where he played 161, 161, 161. Did they rain out?
Must have. Had to have been. Yeah. Had to be.
And then he's got a season where he played 163.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It's strange and very confusing. But it's very Stockton-like.
Yeah.
I would have had that as number 1 on my list. I'll be quite honest with you. It's not the record that little kids grow up hoping that they can beat.
Yep.
But like as a grown man and just knowing, how my body feels every day when I wake up, just thinking about doing your job. And it wasn't like he was playing right field.
Right.
It wasn't like he was DHing.
Right.
I mean, the dude was playing shortstop.
Yep.
I mean, I think he transitioned over to maybe third base really late in his career, I think.
Yeah.
If I recall, back in right around 2000. But dude made the All-Star team at age 40. I think that might have been like a charity thing.
Probably so. He had a couple of good years late, though, mid-late 30s. He was an MVP, I think, in his mid-30s.
38, he hit 340?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he won a couple MVPs, 2 or 3, I think. Actually.
How do you hit 340 and only have 57 RBIs? Was he batting ninth? Jesus. He stole 36 bases in his career. So it's 36 more than me. Okay.
I'm going to rearrange something real quick because it's important to me. Okay. Because I'm actually going to take my number 1 and I'm going to put it as its own category. Okay. Because, and
I can't wait.
I'm not going to number, just hear me out for a second. Okay. I'm not going to number this one, Pete Rose's hits record. Okay.
Yeah.
Should be in the top 10. It should be in my list. Okay. 42-56. Pujols is the active leader, 33-84. He'd have to average 109 hits over the next 8 years, which puts him at 50 years old. He hadn't had 100 hits since 2019. Okay. And Pujols is probably the greatest right-hand hitter of all time. Maybe. I mean, it's arguable at least. So that would need to be in there. I don't know if you had that on your list or not.
I have Pete Rose, 42-56 career hits. And I also did the math with Pujols. He played 22 years, that's over 2 decades for those of you counting at home.
Yeah.
He's 872 behind. He would need to play 6 more seasons at 153 and play till age 48 to catch Pete Rose, basically. Yeah, he'd need to have 153 hits a season for 6 more seasons to age 48 to catch Pete Rose. Yeah. Necro type age stuff.
Yep. It's not happening either way.
No, it's not.
One enough to catch Pete Rose either. Okay, so here's my most ridiculous record that I've ever seen in my life. In any
more ridiculous than Ripken.
Yeah, in fact, I don't even think it's close.
All of yours are career. All of your records are career, though. You're not doing any single season stuff.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Yeah, because
this is a career record. Okay. Ty Cobb stole home plate 54 times.
What? When did pitchers realize you got a slide step? You can't throw from the windup. What were they not pitching from the stretch and slide stepping? God dang, man! How many? Fool me 53 times, shame on you. Fool me 54, shame on me.
So just to put it in perspective, the most recent guys that actually stole home plate several times: Rod Carew, okay, I had 17, and Paul Molitor had 10.
Yeah.
So those two combined times 2 tie Ty Cobb's record.
If you told me that anybody stole home plate more than 5 times, I would have called you a liar.
I think so.
And I would have guessed it was Ricky Henderson.
Right. Right.
For sure, right?
Or Lou Brock. Yeah, right.
Or Lou Brock, right. I would not have, or Tim Raines or Vince Coleman. I would not have guessed Paul Molitor, although he was a good base stealer.
54 times Ty Cobb stole home plate.
That's just, I'm putting that on the pitcher and the catcher and the coach. I'm putting that on them. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous.
I'm putting it on the arrow.
There must have been some rule difference back then where or maybe they were just throwing so slow it just took forever for the ball to get to home plate. I don't know. That's ridiculous, though. That's unacceptable. Somebody watching this who knows a lot more than us about baseball, please explain to me how someone was allowed to steal home plate 54 times.
Okay, but you do see how much more ridiculous that is than even Cal Ripken's record.
Well, I know this. Neither one of those are going to be broken, so it could be a tie. You could have a tie for those, and you could have a tie with Stockton. Either one of those records. I do think the only record on your list that I think that could be touched are both of Jerry Rice's records. I really think those could be touched. It's hard to envision that because right now nobody can touch it.
Right.
But if a LeBron-type dude comes along that's just like so freakish, just so freakish and stays durable – in this era, the way it is with pass first, maybe a 6'6" receiver, who's a red zone target, maybe the touchdowns, I don't know.
Who's the most gifted receiver you've ever seen?
Randy Moss.
I think Calvin Johnson was. Okay,
it might be Calvin Johnson.
Yeah. So, but I'm with you. Okay, Moss, fine, whatever. They're 1A and 1, right? So, Calvin Johnson got burnt out of football after 9 years?
I know.
You know what I'm saying? And that dude, I mean, first of all, he had the greatest nickname ever. But that guy certainly physically probably could have lasted that long if he'd have wanted to,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But I agree. The rule changes and the way the game is played definitely make those two probably the most touchable records.
And I think that, and you even when going back to one of your honorable mentions, and it ties back into Bill Russell that we talked about last week, 11 championships in an era with this much parity. Yikes. I don't know, man. I don't think that's going to happen unless somebody's just got damn good luck switching teams and they're a journeyman type. Right. You know, if somebody could kind of latch on from one dynasty onto another, like if there was a guy who was there for the, a couple of Spurs titles and then transitioned and played for the Warriors, maybe you could see it happening, but it would have to be, the circumstances would just have to be, perfect timing. I don't see an alpha winning 11.
There it is. And that's the key. That's the key.
That's alpha rings.
Right. Being the best player, there's no way. I mean, think about it. That's almost twice as many as Jordan won.
Not with a salary cap.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. Yeah.
Not with a salary cap, man. Maybe Shohei Ohtani.
In basketball, he could probably do it.
In basketball. Right.
What were some ones that you had on your thing that I didn't have?
Right. Yeah, let me give you some of mine. I started with basketball. Stockton's career assist, did the absurd comparisons of what Chris Paul would have to play until he's late 40s. Stockton steals career record. Olajuwon's career blocks.
Yeah. That's
okay. 3,830. Okay. For those of you who don't know, Hakeem Olajuwon, we say it like it comes up often in the sports card hobby. He's one of the most underrated centers of all time. Even though everybody acknowledges he was one of the greatest, I don't think people realize how great he was defensively. 3,830 blocks. Remember, we talked about how the game changed to promote more perimeter play, more three-point shooting, and things like that. So blocks are way down now compared to what they used to be, where people would clog the paint. Every team had a 7-foot, plotting guy. The next closest active player, you want to take a guess at this?
Closest active player.
Dwight Howard is not active. He's playing in Asia.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay. Is it Clint Capella? I don't know. Who is it?
Serge Ibaka.
Okay. All right.
Which is not really a threat to block any more shots, but when he was in his prime, he was an MFer. He's okay. 38-30 for Olajuwon. Serge Ibaka is 2,072 behind him. Okay. He blocked 1.9 blocks per game for his career, and he is number one active. Yeah. Okay, number one, and he blocked 1.9 per game. If he blocked 1.9 per game every single game and played every game of every season, he would need to play 13.3 more seasons until age 47.
Yeah.
So he would basically need to be the league leader or right underneath the league leader until he's 47 years old. And, right. And again, to reiterate, we're 48. We have gray hair.
Well, I think Serge Ibaka might be 52 right now. People don't realize.
Well, we don't know how old he was because he could have lied about it. But guess who is next right behind? Well, let's just put it this way. Gobert, everything I said about Ibaka is preposterous. Gobert's not a spring chicken. Right. He's at or on the downside of his prime. He's 400 behind Ibaka.
Wow.
He's got less than half of the blocks of Olajuwon, and most people would say Rudy Gobert is the best shot blocker of his era, along with Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
Not even in the same category. More basketball. Remember.
Don't go anywhere yet. Let's put it in more perspective, okay? If they kept track.
Okay. Well, this is going to get silly.
Do you think they hit 6,000, each of them?
Let me think about this. That's 600 blocks.
Let's say they average 6 for their career, because I know the one year they averaged 8, right?
Yeah, I think they'd be right. I think they'd be over 5,000, both of them. Yeah. Wilt and Bill.
Yep.
I think they'd be over 5,000.
Yeah.
But again, that goes back to it just goes back to the Cy Young records and the Walter Johnson records. It's like those are not. It's just so different. It's like, and I'm not going to take anything because you're still blocking an opponent's shot. It's the same act. It's the same statistic, but you have so many more opportunities to do it because people didn't have permission to shoot, 31-foot shots in the flow of a game. It's just very different.
Yeah.
It's different. And believe it or not, the pace of play back then was actually greater. I know a lot of people don't know that.
That's a great window with Olajuwon because of the amount of threes that are taken today. You're right.
It's over. Yeah, the window is closed. It's never going to happen, right? All right, so sticking with basketball, and I'm going to go through 4 real quick ones with Wilt. 100 points in a game, and then my notes say, don't give me that bullshit about how Kobe came close, because he didn't. It's still not really close. No. He was 20% away. And by the way, why did nobody double team Kobe?
Because the Raptors thought Jalen Rose was a stopper.
Did they? Okay, well, thanks. Here's the other thing. In the game where Wilt scored 100 in Hershey, Pennsylvania on that fateful evening, just to lead up in a very dramatic way, did you know the other team froze him out in the fourth quarter? They held the ball. They stalled the ball. So it could have been significantly worse.
Yes.
Did you also know he had 2 assists in that game?
I don't think he meant to.
So that just shows you how unselfish he was. 50.4 points per game in a season. Never, ever, ever, ever. 55 rebounds in a single game. 55.
Okay, hear me out. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I think that's more touchable than 50.4 for a season.
Well, for sure. Any single game record, what did Wesley Snipes say? The sun even shines on a dog's ass some days.
That's right.
Any single game, Scott Skiles' 30 assist record could be touched if all things fell right. And DeJounte Murray made 11 threes and DeAndre Hunter hit, 9 of his threes. Trae Young could sniff 30 or something silly like that on a given night. But doing something so preposterous as, hell, ESPN led off with 2 guys in the NBA scored 50 last night. Why don't you just do it for 82 games?
That's right.
That puts that in perspective. And then Wilt's, I think this is probably the most untouchable record of all time. Wilt played 48.5 minutes per game one season. So
yeah, that's never going to be.
Never ever going to be touched. So put it up there with the Cal Ripken record. As far as single season records, that's probably more untouchable than 50.4 points per game.
It's number one. It has to be number one. There's no way.
It has to be. You don't even have permission. Like coaches and GMs don't even have permission to play players 48 minutes in a game. Like you would be literally, you'd lose your job, or the Players Association would file a grievance. Like you couldn't even try to do it right now.
Really, though, what they need to do is what were the total number of minutes played that year? Because let's say, if you played 50 games, okay, nobody's playing 48 minutes. Don't get me wrong, but you see what I'm saying? Like you could average that a bunch of minutes over a shorter time period. I want to know what the total minutes played was. So
48.5 times every game, probably.
74. Didn't they play 74 back then, I think?
I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I've got Russell's 11 championships as a basketball record, of course. And now I'm on to baseball. And you know how I am when we were kids.
Rebound record.
I didn't do the career rebound. I could have put 14 Wilt records on here. He's still got 74 records in the NBA. Or he's got 80, but like 70 he holds by himself. It's some stupid number. So a parade of horribles. We could have gone on forever. Yeah. Baseball, I was always fascinated with base stealing as a kid. And my favorite player, the first player ever collected in the sports card hobby, and I remember I had like 150 of his cards was Ricky Henderson. And so I've got on here that his 130 stolen bases will never be broken. But as I alluded to earlier, some dude named Hugh Nicole stole 138 bases in the year 1887. Yeah. I'm just going to say 130 is the record. Yeah.
Modern era, it'll never be broken.
Yeah. Here's some really eye-popping stats. And again, because the way the game's changed, now everybody plays for the 3-run homer. Like Earl Weaver said, why steal a base when you can play for the 3-run homer? Ricky Henderson's 1406 career stolen bases. And I can't believe you didn't have this on your list. Did you think about this?
I didn't.
Okay. 1,406 career stolen bases. That's basically 770 stolen bases for 20 years comes short. Because if you stole 70 bases for 2 straight decades, you don't catch them. Nobody has stolen 70 since 2009. Wow. And you'd have to do it for 20 straight years. Wow. Not one Major League Baseball player has stolen it since 2009. Somebody double check me. But the highest active stolen bases right now, remember, Ricky Henderson had 1,406. The highest active, you want to guess on this by any chance? The number one active stolen base career leader.
Baseball players.
D. Gordon, 336.
Wow.
Yeah. So the era of the art of base stealing is just kind of lost. But every once in a while, there's guys that steal 40 or 50 or whatever. But like stealing 70 is rare. Stealing 70 for 20 years is not going to get you there. You need
to get 1,406 next year.
What's that?
You think Ohtani can get 1,406?
I think Ohtani could steal him a couple hundred bases. I don't think that's a problem. Cal Ripken's on here. I've got it. It's basically 16 years of playing every single game. If somebody, Cal Ripken, the fourth, started playing baseball today, and his first major league game was today, he played every game for his entire career. He wouldn't break his dad's record until 2038.
There you go.
So we're in the year 2022.
Yeah.
So 16 straight years of playing every single game in your pro sport. No boating accident. No running over your foot with a lawnmower. No slipping in the shower. No rolling your ankle in a pickup basketball game. No freaking injury like on the field ever. A tweaked hamstring, a torn ligament, an ankle, broken wrist, getting hit in the wrist when you're batting. Like, how in the hell is it even possible, man? I don't understand it. But he did it. 16 straight seasons. Cy Young, 749 complete games and 511 wins. We talked about it.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan, 7 no-hitters. Talked about it. You didn't have any Barry Bonds in there.
I can't, man. I can't do it. I'm not even that big of a – it's not even that big of a deal to me that they juiced and did all that stuff.
Yeah.
I left all that stuff out. I mean, Clemens, him, I just left it out. So,
well, Clemens, I don't know what Clemens has, but Bonds. Here's what's funny. Well, I've got 3 Bonds records, right? I think probably the most unbreakable is 688 intentional walks. Walks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Pujols, the machine, is second with 316. That's less than half.
But what I would like to know is, where did he accumulate? I'll bet he accumulated 80% of those in the last 5 years of his career. He did. But it was pitchers that were on steroids that were intentionally walking him. So. No, I'm not even
okay.
talking about that. I'm saying just think about that he
I know. I know. If he'd have just started cheating earlier, he could have 1,000 intentional walks. He also had 232 walks in a freaking season in 2004.
Unbelievable. 232
walks in one season. That's more than a walk a game, right? A lot more than a walk a game. And then his home runs per at bat, I don't think will ever be matched. Let's put it this way. Aaron Judge just had what some would say is the greatest home run hitting season that any American League player has ever had in history, right?
Yep.
Clearly. Yep. He hit a home run every 9.19 at bats.
Right.
Barry Bonds, God, I wish that he didn't walk. I wish you could turn down walks and just bat.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds hit a home run every 6.5 at bats.
Yep.
That is so much more often than 9.19. I mean, I can take a calculator and do all kinds of math. It's astonishing what was happening that season.
It's like games worth.
Walking in, winning runs when he got to the plate so he wouldn't hit a grand slam. It's just stupid stuff that defies logic and statistics.
Now,
I have Pete Rose down here, 4,256.
1 second before you leave Bonds, okay? Look, and just to prove that I really the whole drug thing is whatever it is, because like you said, everybody was doing it. Most guys are still doing it. It's whatever, okay? Everybody called Ted Williams the greatest hitter of all time, right? Yeah. And I know he missed a large chunk of his prime in the military. Yeah. Dude, it's not that Barry Bonds is the greatest hitter of all time. It's that it's not close, whoever's second. Like, those numbers he put up whenever he was doing that, Ted Williams wasn't getting intentionally walked with the bases loaded.
Right.
Babe Ruth might have, right? But, I mean, when you talk about the fact that, number one, he walked all the time. Number two, he never struck out back then, like in that prime.
He didn't.
Never. You put it near the plate, he crushed it. You know, I think I've never seen anything like it in my life, ever.
He hit unhittable pitches out of the park. I mean, obviously, people would pitch around him, and that wasn't working. Like, pitching around him didn't work. Right. So they just said, we're not even going to pitch around you because we're just going to walk. Like, we're not going to throw you bad pitches because you could poke one of those out of the park.
A lot of guys have juiced, but nobody was as good as he was at what he did, no matter what was going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep. I got Rose on here, and we talked about how far behind Pujols is, and he played literally forever.
Yep.
Here's the deal. This is the most, I think, maybe the most unbreakable record of all time. And it's only took place in 2 consecutive games. Johnny Vandermeer threw 2 consecutive no-hitters. So you could tie the record theoretically, but to break it, you got to throw 3 consecutive no-hitters. That's pretty tough. Nolan Ryan's got the most ever with 7 in his career. So getting 3 in a row is tough when I don't know what the list is of people who have thrown more than 3 no-hitters, but it's probably not long.
Otani could do that. I'm telling you.
Otani probably do that, right, in between stealing 100 bases.
Of home plate, 54 home plate steals. 54.
Okay. 3 consecutive no-hitters is also hard. But you're right. Like, at some point, if somebody had stolen, like, home 5 times in a baseball season, I think people would catch on. Like, we're just going to hold this guy on. I'll throw it over to third,
right,
11 times in a row. You're not stealing home on me. And by the way, I'm not even going to take a stride. I'm just going to dart it to home plate. I don't even care what it takes. Brett Favre. This is really impressive. I don't know if you remember Brett Favre, not his interceptions. Brett Favre had 297 consecutive starts in the NFL.
I knew he had the record. I didn't realize it was that many.
Wow, that's a lot in a sport where, like, we went down the list of ways baseball players could get injured. People are trying to injure you in football, especially if you're the quarterback, and you're a lot smaller than the guys that are trying to smash your face in. If you include the playoffs, 321 consecutive starts, Jonathan. That's 20 seasons worth.
Dude, and you know what? There was a lot of guys taking painkillers back then, so don't give me that stuff. You know, I mean,
Jonathan, 321. If there's 16 football games in a season, that's basically 20 seasons worth. You know, I included playoffs, so it's a little skewed, but that's a lot, man.
Unreal. Wow.
That's unreal. That's unreal. And then now we're going to go real quick through hockey, and it's all Gretzky. And I'm sure there's other great hockey records. I didn't put a ton of time into this, but, you know, another video would be the most dominant player in their respective sport all time, regardless of era. And, you know, and you think of Wilt, you think about Jordan.
Yeah.
I really think it will be Gretzky because he combines statistical dominance with winning. And Wilt, not quite as much, just statistical dominance. But Gretzky, here's some Gretzky stuff. 163 assists in one season in 1985. He has 10 of the 11 highest assists seasons in NHL history.
Yep.
Gretzky had 250 points in 1985. Points are assists and goals.
Yep.
He had 9 of the 11 highest point seasons in NHL history.
Yep.
Gretzky has 2,857 career points. So a lot of people know Ovechkin. I haven't paid attention, so forgive me. Ovechkin was getting close to the Gretzky's goals.
Yeah.
Right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
And then my friend here, who's a huge hockey fan, Mike, he's like, go look at Gretzky's assists and Gretzky's points record. Those will never be broken. Gretzky has 2,857 career points, which is goals and assists. Sidney Crosby has played, and I didn't know this. If you'd have said how old Sidney Crosby, I'd have said, I don't know, 29.
Right.
He's played 18 seasons now. That's how old we are. He has half as many points. Yeah. And he's one of the best players of his generation, like one of the 3 or 4 best players of his generation.
Sure, for sure.
Right? So, Gretzky has 1,963 assists. That makes up the predominance of his points. He has more assists. This is the way we're going to end it. Gretzky has more assists than any NHL player in history has goals and assists combined.
Yes. How about that?
So he's got more assists than anybody else has points.
So let's put it in perspective here.
If he never scored a goal, he would be the all-time points leader. If he never scored a goal.
Right. So Larry Bird said Gretzky's the greatest ever at what he does, okay, than anybody. He was Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson all in one.
Yeah.
When you think about the records themselves.
Agreed.
He was also Bill Russell. He was also Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He won 7 MVPs, or did he win 9? I don't know. It was something crazy, okay? And then I know he won a bunch of Stanley Cups. So what are those numbers? What are his numbers?
Is the Hart Award, is that the MVP, or is it the Ross?
I think it's the Hart Award. Is the MVP.
He has 9.
Yeah, so 9 MVPs. I think he won 7 titles.
Ross must be leading the league in points. God, we sound dumb. He had 10 of those.
But I know he had 9. 9 MVPs sounds right. How many?
Four Stanley Cups. 4 Stanley Cups.
Okay, so he's not Bill Russell in that regard then. All right. But 9. Think about that.
No, 9. He's Magic and Bird. I mean, pretty much. Did you know he's in the Hall of Fame?
He made it?
He did. He did.
Was it third time?
Yeah, finally got in. He is He is 6 foot, 185. So I would say the most dominant pro team sport athlete of all time is a 6 foot, 185 guy that could probably bench press 170 pounds, maybe.
John Stockton, in other words.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Isn't that crazy? That's nuts, man. It's funny that
hockey has to be like the hardest sport in the world to play.
Well, I can't even skate, so I'm not even going to start. I'll tell you what, I was on the way down to the Pelicans game. I'll end it with a really good story. I was on the way down to the Pelicans game. I had my son in the back seat. His girlfriend was back there, and I had my hockey friend, who's also an NBA fan, sitting next to me. And we started talking, and I was like, look, the one thing I will tell you about – because we were talking about, Baton Rouge is getting a semi-pro hockey team or a minor league hockey team. We're going to go to the games. And I was like, there was nothing more fun than sitting on the ice watching hockey. And then I was like, one thing I figured out, sitting on the glass watching those games, those are the toughest. Those are the toughest team sports athletes. I know football's tough.
Right.
I'm taking hockey, right? They get hit in the face with a puck or a stick or a fist, and they just keep playing. They're, like, you're supposed to fight, right? Yep. And he's like, did you ever see the time when blah, 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 the goalie had his throat cut open with a skate? And I was like, what are you talking about? God, I wish I could remember the guy's name. He pulls up a clip on YouTube, and it comes with a warning, and it says, don't watch this if you're too young or, blah, 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 like an advisory. Guy gets flipped over, and he kind of like swings over, and he kicks his foot up. His skate cuts the guy's jugular. He cuts his jugular, Jonathan. The goalie takes his gloves off and goes like this, and blood, it's like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. No lie. Blood is coming like a fountain out of his neck onto the ground. The trainer came on and had to put his hand on the guy's throat and pinch his jugular to keep him from dying, obviously, because blood is I'm not exaggerating. It is like if you turned a cup of water over, blood is coming out of his throat on the ice, and it's clear to see on the ice. And they said the exit to the hospital, the exit to the rink was end to end, right? But there was only an exit on one end, and his goal was on that end. They said if his exit had been at the other end of the goal, he'd be dead.
He dies. Wow.
So they just went whoop around the goal, took him straight to the hospital, and apparently reconnected his jugular, and the guy lived. And I think he came back to play that season. In the same season, he almost died on the ice.
The next game, he was back.
I don't think he was back the next game. I don't think it was the next game. But
you can take all the broken legs in football, Theismann's deal, and all that, add them all up, and they're not as bad as that.
So that led to the story, and I was like, well, the toughest thing that happened in my childhood was Ronnie Lott. Yeah. When Ronnie Lott came off, and I think it was at halftime, and they're like, man, look, you're going to have surgery on that pinky. He's like, cut it off. I'm going back in the game. I think it was a regular season game. They cut that sucker's pinky off, and he kept playing. When my dad told me that story, I was like, basketball, I'm not playing this sport. There's no way I'm playing out there with these nut jobs. Yeah, so just two examples of some pretty tough dudes that played their respective sports. So now we got people that can't play back-to-backs in basketball, even though their private plane is flying them from game to game. So yeah. Anyway, all right, cool, man. That's another episode. Anything else, guys? Let us know in the comments. I mean, look, there's a million records. We stuck to these big four. I'm sure there's some soccer records. Pele's goals I know would have been in there if we'd have done soccer and some other stuff, but we dug pretty deep to get these records. Let us know if we forgot any of them or if you disagree with us. But some of them I think is a tie for first because some of these are just not going to be touched. Cal Ripken's not going to be touched. Stockton's not going to be touched. Vandermeer is not going to be touched. Hugh Nichols not going to be touched, right, from 1887, stealing the bases. So you really like that stealing home record. You like that record.
No, I can't stand it, actually, because I think it demeans the game, but I think it's the most unbreakable thing I've ever heard of.
It might be. Yeah. It might be. Let us know what you think about stealing home. In fact, I want the name of this episode to be Stealing Home because it's confusing and provocative.
Hey, next time, and I'm throwing this out to the viewers, okay, what about top 10 NBA teams of all time ranked? What do you think? Single season.
86 Celtics come to mind.
Single seasons, right?
Bulls come to mind.
10 seasons.
Seasons.
Yeah. Obviously, they have to have won the title. I mean, so that's a gimme. But
we gotta win the title, yeah, for sure.
Top 10 seasons, and do we want to do it like 1980 on, or do we want to go all the way back to the Celtics 50s and 60s and all that.
I'm not going to the Minneapolis Lakers. I'm not doing it.
No, that's what I'm saying. So that'd be the furthest I'd be willing to go back is the 60s ish. But I like the 80s. I like the 80s moving on.
I think we start with 1980.
Yep, I agree.
Let's start with 1980. Let's do it. That's what we're going to do. The top 10 NBA teams of all time per season.
Yep.
Deal.
And it can't matter if they won another title. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
that year. Though the constituent parts of that team.
Yes.
Is it how much they dominated their competition that year, or if that team was playing the team that was next on the list?
I think it's both. I think you just take it both. I mean,
because
that's going to determine. I think the first one is going to determine a lot of everything else. Because, well, I see what you're saying. Because could the '86 Celtics beat the 2017 Warriors?
Well, or could Kevon Looney guard Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Right. So I think more weight should be put on the first part, how much they dominated.
Yeah.
Okay. That time. Yeah.
Okay. So all right. That's a plan. That's a plan. Well, now you know what's going to happen 7 days from now. There they are. Well, there it is. One of them was actually quite normal. Yeah. Leave that one up.
I'll just see the difference. There's just a difference. That's all.
There's a slight difference.
Yeah.
Anyway, you need to cut that off like Ronnie Lott. Cut that off before next week, please.
Nope.
Thank you guys for watching. As always, keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby, and peace.